Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, we're going to be doing some easy to follow steps to give my client here the crispiest fade that he's ever had. Now, we're going to start this haircut off. Obviously, we're going to have to go ahead and even his hair out on the top. So we're going to run this number 6 guard, and we are going to run this against the grain to make sure that all of the hairs are caught. We need to lay the foundation so that way we could set a crispy fade. If you guys don't already know me, my name is Tito. I'm super glad to have you on the channel. I make well over 6 figures in the barber industry, and all I do is I cut hair and I film it. And I want to help you achieve better success than even what I've been able to do, but even quicker. I want to help you learn the mistakes that it took me so long to learn. So stick around with me, guys. You're gonna have so much confidence going into your next haircut after watching this. The best way to start off any fade is with the clipper closed. Now, the reason that we go with the clipper closed is because traditionally so many barbers have taught you over the years to punch in the bald line with the trimmer. Now, I found that that was actually something that was slowing me down, because even though it would set a nice crispy line and I could be super precise with it, the trimmer, I realized, is meant to punch in a hard line like your front edge, like your vertical bar, your C-cups. Why am I gonna put a hard line in the beginning of the fade? Because it's gonna make it harder to fade out at the end. Doing the clipper close for your bald line is gonna give your mind a reference point. This is where the fade ends. We're gonna fade down to this point, but it's so much of a softer line that it's gonna be so much easier to fade at the end. And as you stick with me through this tutorial, you're gonna see it come together at the end of this haircut. Now, you can see my secondary guideline is with the same machine, still no guard. We're just gonna open that lever and we are gonna make this parallel. So whether you're doing a high fade, whether you're doing a low fade, it doesn't matter. The secondary guideline should be completely parallel and mirror the primary line you put in. So your primary line and your secondary line is already put in. Now we're gonna go in here with the number 2 guard. Now, the top was already cut down to a 6, so I don't find it necessary to debulk the sides with the number 4. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this number 2 guard, and the way I think about it, the teeth of the guard is supposed to point upwards towards the ceiling. I'm gonna keep a straight up and down, very squared up motion, using the shape of the head of the client as a ramp to launch this clipper up and off the head. So doing this freehand motion and sculpting is something that has been able to help me, I feel like, skip guards and become more efficient. So that's a big gem that you want to take note of when you're fading clients, man. If you use that sculpting motion, it can help you skip guards and just help the haircut come together a little easier. So now we're gonna repeat the same motion that we were doing with the number 2 guard, but with one level lower. So instead of the 2, now we're doing it with the 1. The goal is not to put in a new line per se. We still wanna keep that same floating upwards motion, and that's gonna help us transition and essentially skip the 1.5 guard. We're really not gonna have to use that. So we're going with the 2. We already went straight up and down with the 2 open and the 2 closed. Now we're doing it again with the 1. Since we are at a good level lower, naturally we're going to be working lower in the fade, but the motion is still the same. Try not to put in a hard line. We're going to be using a soft floating up and down motion. Now tell me, can you guys believe how blurry the fade is coming together so far? And we haven't used the 1.5 guard, we haven't used the half guard. We were just using the motions required to be able to skip guards, keeping that straight up and down motion. This is how easy it can be, guys. Now all we have to do is we have to concentrate on that bottom line. So we're gonna return to the very bottom of this fade. Remember, we started with the clipper closed, so we can match this now with the clipper closed. I want to ease your mind about the anxiety of I'm gonna raise this fade too high, okay? Yes, you are gonna raise the fade higher, but as you get higher, it's gonna get longer. So if you notice, I matched the clipper close at the very bottom, breaking through that line, and I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. But then guess what? I open the notch a little more, now I raise the fade a little more. And I open the notch again, and I raise the fade again. And I open the notch again, and you can see it just over and over and over. You're getting higher in the fade, but you're getting longer as well. Look at how well this blends together. So I hope that watching this video can instill that confidence in you. Yes, you are gonna raise the fade, but there's nothing to fear if you have a good plan in place. And that's what I'm trying to provide you with this video. Now this client's hairline was nothing to play with. You can already see all of this hair is shooting straight up and to the left. Like his hair wants him to do a comb over, but that's just not his style. That's where consultation comes in. That's why I was able to lock in this client. So I used my blending shears, right? I used my thinning shears pretty much to remove some of the weight. Not too much. You could see his hair still looks pretty even, but I needed to reduce the excess weight that will allow me to go in and make my first incision with these trimmers. Stay true to your system. Start in the middle, work your way to one side. Start in the middle, work your way to the other side. It's so much easier to do these lineups when you break up the job into two smaller jobs. If I started all the way in the left corner and went all the way to the right corner in one stroke, it's gonna be hard. That line's gonna be leaning and it's gonna be like, man, where did I go wrong? If you break it up into two smaller jobs, you can analyze the hairline 1/2 at a time. Now his vertical bars in the past, right? My last couple videos, I've shown you guys how I like to set the vertical bars in first. I didn't find it super necessary to do so with this client because he already has very prominent vertical bars. You can see they're already pretty defined, how they grow naturally. So just in case if you are a viewer of my last couple videos, that's the only reason why I didn't find it necessary to do with this haircut. Now for the beard, guys, we're gonna go ahead and trim everything down to the consultation length. He likes a really nice and tight mustache because it grows back so quick. Clipper length, right? Open up the lever, hit it with that. But I want you guys to see here the way that I fade the sideburn area, the whole side of it. He likes a nice tight fade. You can do this if you're with the clipper open and you're using a very light touch, a very similar motion to how we fade the head, where we kind of float our way up. You can do the same, floating your way up on the side of the beard. Very light touch. I mean, half the time you're just cutting the air, right? You're kind of working your momentum into getting into the beard. But then by the time that you're right here in the middle of the cheek, now you can start to lay the clipper flat on the beard, and little by little close the guard as you work your way up. Now, just like when you're fading the head, if you're not comfortable using this freehand motion, you can use your 4, 3, 2, 1. You can do the same on the beard, you know, start them off with a 3, then a 2, then a 1.5, then a 1. But I want to show you guys efficiency. I want to show you guys what is the best way to accomplish these haircuts without having to use those extra steps. But it's totally on you guys, whatever you prefer. Barbers, are you sick and tired of dimming your phone screen every time you pull up your bank account because of the shame of how low the balance is? With the Six Figure Barber Mentorship, we help you find and fix the weak points between our easy to follow modules and our over 20 live stream calls per month from Chris Basio and his coaching team. We're gonna help you build your clientele to beyond six figures and scale so you can start to buy your time back. And the best thing about this, you're gonna see results month one with our 30-day challenge. There's no better way to motivate you than to get you quick wins. The link is gonna be in the description. I'll see you guys soon. I don't know about you guys, man, but lining up the back of the beard is one of the most satisfying lines to do on the head for me personally, man. So I like to go ahead and define that. Yeah, just define that because you want it to complement their jawline too. You know, you don't want to, please don't ever push this line too far in. I want this line to be either straight down or sometimes even leaning a little bit back to accentuate the jawline. But please never make that like lean forward where you're kind of pushing his jaw upwards. That looks crazy. Looks to the grow-out is terrible if you get that line wrong. And now it's time to bald out the very bottom of this fade, man. The reason that we started with the clipper closed is because you can see how easily this trimmer fades out the very bottom of that. There is no effort required in balding out with the trimmer, right? That's why I leave the bulk at the very bottom for the end, because now I don't have to use any mental energy, no mental effort when removing the bulk underneath that bald line. I really like to use the same method that I lined the front hairline up with when I'm underneath like the jaw and I'm lining up the bottom of the beard. Start your way in the middle, work your way to one side, and then return to the middle, work your way to the other side. The same concept, guys, is instead of trying to do one huge line at once, go ahead and break that job up into two smaller jobs that you can adjust and you can kind of like step back. See how is this looking? Is it looking even? And keep working. Step back, hit it again, step back. Like, this is something that your client will appreciate so much, man, because it's honestly one of the more difficult things. Maybe not even difficult. I would say it's one of the easiest things for a barber to miss. You know, you'll have your client slightly pick up their chin a little bit and it looks fine, cool, but you haven't really asked, excuse me, you haven't really asked your client to fully pull their chin up as high as possible. When they pull that extra extension, that's when you can really see all the imperfections. Knocking those out, your clients will love and rave about your beard work. Now, there's no way to perfectly explain the way that you want to do a freestyle design, because that's the whole point, right? It is a freestyle design, but sometimes I find myself, if I find a place where the hair grows pretty strong on there, right, I can kind of float a certain curve in there. You want to have a combination of curves and extremely sharp points. If you can find a nice combination of that. The thing is, if you guys remember going way back to elementary school, you have acute and obtuse angles. You never, ever, ever want to give a client an obtuse angle, okay? When I go in there and I start creating my corners, I want those corners and those lines to come so close to each other that, you know, if I sneeze with the trimmer on my hand, I mean, they're fully connected. I want them to float really, really close to each other. But y'all can see that. Soft curve coming down, sharp angle cutting right back up, and at the very top, super sharp angle and cutting it right back down, floating into that soft curve. And then I decided this is something I never tried before. I'm like, man, let me go ahead and try to, like, not necessarily mirror it, but, you know, just create a whole nother parallel angle. You know, I was just playing with it. I was having fun with it. I love how this was coming out. If this is something you guys want to see more of, leave it in the comment section below. I feel like the more videos I do with this, the better I'll be at explaining it, man. But, you know, we were having fun with it, man. I really like how it's coming out. Let's watch the rest of this come together. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should have worked that little bald spot, that little scar that he's got right next to it. I should have worked that into the design. I can't believe I didn't think about it. I think it came off fire though. Check it out. So don't overplay your part with the trimmer. Put in the basic framework of the design, and now when you go in with the blade, now you can start to add some extra dimension. You're gonna want some spots to be a little wider. You're gonna want some spots to be a little bit thinner. It's that ebb and that flow that really helps bring out the sharpness of the design. YouTube, I appreciate you guys sticking with me through this video. Now, please, if you've made it to this point, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite part of this tutorial. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I have so many tutorials coming your way, guys. I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon. If you want the tools that we used in today's video, I have every single one tagged in the tagged products there below. And if you purchase that way, it really supports the channel. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.